Learn to make the hard choices in life, Part 2, from the Apostle of Dr. Strive Masiwa, Entrepreneur Podcasts. The commandment to love your neighbor had no exemptions. You know, of course, that your neighbor is more than someone who lives next door to you. He or she is someone who will come to help you out when you have been beaten and thrown into the ditch of life, or someone you have absolutely nothing in common with at all. Let's talk. A few weeks ago, I was invited to speak at a business forum organized by the same group that puts together Tanzania's National Prayer Breakfast. At last minute, I was unable to attend due to logistical challenges. I was sad about that, so I hope I get another opportunity. I have spoken at 2 national prayer breakfasts in the past in the USA and Kenya. For my friends from Tanzania and others who are interested, I thought to share the talk I delivered at Kenya Prayer Breakfast a few years ago. Prior to arriving to Kenya, I had spent days drafting my speech, but when I got there, I learned the organizers had reduced the time slot. It was incredibly inconvenient. It seemed I had traveled around the world to speak for only 10 minutes. In such situations, you can choose either to get mad or to get busy. So I basically abandoned what I had written and scribed a few notes during the event. Now I have had the privilege in my life, for which I am eternally grateful to the Father of Light, to speak before world leaders and in panels with famous people. And yet for me, this is probably the greatest speech I ever made anywhere. The entire national leadership of Kenya was there, including the president and his deputy, along with cabinet ministers, judges, legislators, and members of the opposition. Religious leaders, Christians, Muslim, Hindu, and Jewish were also there. Kenya was in mourning following a deadly terrorist attack at Garissa University, which left 147 innocent students dead and 79 others injured. It was horrific. As I listened to speaker after speaker recount what they did and how they were feeling, it was clear that Kenyans of all religions, political backgrounds, tribes, race, gender were standing as one in rejection of extremism and intolerance. When it was my turn, I got up and read the Bible verse about the Good Samaritan and shared some of my research on who the Samaritan people were and why they were generally despised by the majority population. They were people of a different race, tribe, and religion. There was a history of animosity between the communities that dated back hundreds of years. As I was preparing to leave the hotel after the speech, a group of religious leaders representing Christians and Muslims was waiting in the lobby. They hugged me tearfully. People who had watched on national TV sent me messages, including the Kenyan president's mother. The leader of the opposition, Honorable Raila Odinga, called me about it. At the airport, Kenyans of all ages, particularly young people, told me they had seen it. My friends, the Good Samaritan could turn out to be your Muslim neighbor, your Christian neighbor, the Jewish guy, the white guy, the black guy, the Arab guy, or even the guy from tribe that once murdered or persecuted your people. You might not even approve of his or her way of life. We must reject and fight intolerance whether it be racism, tribalism, religious bigotry, anti-Semitism, xenophobia, or extremism of any kind. If we want to unleash the full potential of this great continent, we have to pull down the borders, have to be good neighbors to those who are different from us. I will never forget the day one of my children cried about being mocked by a teacher for believing in Jesus Christ. I had to sit her down and tell her that her teacher was guilty of religious bigotry and intolerance, even though that teacher did not consider himself religious. We must be respectful of the dignity and rights of others to believe or not to believe, as the case may be. Now the African continent is a giant waiting to be awakened. But first, we must kick the elephant out of the room. If you don't know the expression, look it up. The elephant is intolerance. One of the worst forms of intolerance is from men who cannot accept that women have the same rights as men in everything. The elephant is the injustice where you cannot live with your neighbor, no matter what our fathers and mothers may have told us that happened in the past. It is in the past. The elephant is also the silence of those who can speak up for mutual respect, love, and integrity, yet choose not to. Afterthought. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This week, I am in Rwanda attending the Transform Africa Summit. Whilst it is true that I really love Rwanda, one of the reasons why I attend so many of their events is that they plan well in advance. It is really very difficult to schedule anything in my calendar without at least 12 months notice. I am sorry to disappoint, but please remember that speaking at events is not my day job. I have a business to run, and although the invitations are a real honor, it's difficult to respond to all the requests to speak. Sometimes I get 20 or more in a week. We actually decide at the beginning of the year how many events I will participate in, and my team then starts to work with the organizers. The rest of the time is focused on running the business and attending to other commitments. Omaya writes, I watched you live, Tata, and it was so inspiring. What most people don't know is that the then president of Garissa University lost his life by fighting the terrorists while asking his fellow students to escape. He lost his life in the process but rescued almost everyone in that room. Thank you, Mukoma, for standing with our country at that trying moment. Thank you. My reply, these are our true heroes of modern Africa. Michael Obi writes, we need to change our orientation about the physically challenged persons around us. Never reward them with neglect and marginalization. Help them to see wisdom in their wounds. They are not broken beyond repair. They are smart. Try to teach them. They are especially endowed. Trust them. Help us see that life that is above reproach. God is love. Humans are extension on His mercy. No more attack in Kenya. My reply, I totally agree with you, Mike. People with physical or even mental disabilities must not be shunned or marginalized. We must also condemn and fight the evil practices directed against albinos in some societies. Thank you for raising this omission in my main text.